Welcome, everyone. How do I look in my hat? I wasn't planning on wearing a hat, but sometimes you just have to go out and try something new, right? Right. Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome, everyone. My name is Deanne Conrad. I'm the Community Relations Coordinator for the Sioux Fall School District, and so grateful to have all of you here today to see familiar faces and meet some new folks who have joined us as well. What a great opportunity we have to get back together. We missed last year because of COVID, of course. Some of you were able to join us online for the bingo. We had some online bingo, and we tried to make that as merry and as fun as we possibly could, but still it wasn't the same, just being together and able to have conversation, as well as to experience some of the wonderful talents of our students who will be performing for us in a little bit. So just really happy that you're all here, that you're all healthy. Whatever the last year and a half has brought for you or to you, we're just grateful that you are here with us again today and celebrating a holiday season. So we have some special guests, of course. We will get to that in just a few minutes. Our staff from Community Education, Community Relations, they are going to be serving up your meal, and they will be delivering your meals to you. You can feel comfortable at any time. We will be around with coffee and water again, but if you prefer not to wait and you want to get up and help yourself, you're welcome to do that also. We do want to draw your attention. This is a stage, of course, and so please consider this the line of demarcation. Do not walk past this line. We don't want anyone to take a misstep and end up in the seated area. That would be a long step and a difficult one. So please just watch for that. We decided to do it this way, and we are going to put our performers out in what would be the normal seating area. And my thought in doing it this way is, I don't know if any of you have attended an event at the Washington Pavilion where sometimes they have the tables up on the stage. And that just provides kind of a sense of, we can all be performers without having to perform, right? So you can say you were on the stage at Jefferson High School. So we hope you enjoy this setup today. We hope you enjoy your meal. And we will have conversation throughout. As you know, I shared with you a couple of historical items that I've pulled out of the archives. This is the Sioux Fall School District's 150th anniversary. We became incorporated as a school on July 3rd, 1871. So for 150 years, we've been providing education to students in the Sioux Falls area. And if you just think back to those very first school days and what that must have been like, and then think about other health concerns. Of course, we had, Spanish flu and tuberculosis and measles and all kinds of things that have happened in the past, and how people persevered and moved forward. And that's in the same manner that we wish to persevere through COVID and just making the educational experience a good one for our students today. So right now I'd like to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Jane Stavam, joined us last year, July 1st, in the height of the pandemic. Why not, right? Some of you have had a chance to meet her at other functions, and if you haven't, I'm sure you will enjoy her this afternoon. I guess it's still this morning. So, Dr. Jane Stavam, Superintendent.
Well, good morning, everybody. We were waiting. We were maybe going to have some other speakers brought up here. Are you all able to hear okay? Okay, good. Well, last year, in my first year, we had this thing called a gold card event. I really wasn't sure what it was, and then it had to be online, and so it was fun to see all of you on there, but this way is certainly much more preferred, and so we're so glad you're here. I was thinking about a lot of different things that connect to this event. One of the things is our district priorities include one of the areas that talks about student well-being, and how we encourage both students and staff to have a really good, strong sense of belonging and being connected to their school. And we know the likelihood of a student being successful is increased so much when they are connected to activities and clubs and things that even connect them to their community. And so I was thinking about what it means for all of you to be here. We're also celebrating community partnerships with some of our formal partners next week, and I would consider this a partnership lunch. Because when I reflect back on my growing up years, I grew up in a small town in Nebraska. I had a graduating class of 28. It was a large class, big controversy when we were in elementary school if they should split the class into 2 classrooms. It was a big deal because we were so large. How many of you are from small towns? Oh, look at us, small town kids. We got it going on. How many of you were in a graduating class of less than 50? Okay. How many of you are graduates of the Sioux Falls district? Okay, just a few. So how many of you are from a farm? I'm going to go even that farther. All right, farm kids. Yeah, I got a theory there too, but we all did well. But when you are from a small town and a community where people know each other, or like me, my last name was Johnson, so I was related to most everybody in the Swede capital of Nebraska. People knew where you were. People knew what you were involved in, and people came to your activities. It was just part of the fabric of the community. If there was a concert at the high school, everybody came. It was packed, and it wasn't just people who had children. And then they talked to you when you were at church on Sunday, and they asked you where you were the next Sunday if you weren't there. And they talked to you in the grocery store, and they talked to you when they came over to your house for dinner, because they were genuinely interested in the kids in the community. Even my mom right now, who is 86 and isn't able to go anymore, she still has that radio on. She knows the players on the cross-county team. They've consolidated since I graduated. She knows who's coming and going on the Huskers. She keeps rooting for them no matter what. I try. But they know even now who those kids are. And they know it's important. So part of the importance of having the gold card is also having people who care about our kids, who still care about showing up to our events, who support our schools, and who help students understand how important it is to be part of the fabric of our community. And so we just appreciate all of you so much, and we appreciate your willingness to be part of our school district. Whether you have children, grandchildren, friends and neighbors, whoever it is, or you just come because it's fun, and it's fun to be out and enjoy things at a school. We're grateful to you and are just so honored that you would join us today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our high school principal, Mr. Dan Conrad, who is still enjoying the new school and new school smell. Still smells like a new school. It's good.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. Thank you, Dr. Stavam. All right. Thank you, Dr. Stavam. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I know our speakers are facing forward and we're sitting back here. It's our first for us, and this whole year is about firsts. And first for me, too. I'm a Sioux Falls kid. So as Dr. Stavam kind of brought up where she born and raised and a little bit of her history, my history is Sioux Falls. And so from Laura Wilder Elementary, and I think I'm the one that got to experience all 5 high schools. So from downtown Washington for 2 years, the first class to graduate from Roosevelt was built 30 years ago. A student taught at Roosevelt. I taught at Lincoln for 11 years. I was a principal at Washington, assistant for 7, head for 4. And last year I got to spend the year out at New Tech High. And now this year we open up the building and we're ready to go. So there's a lot of relationships you meet and have with people along the way, and that's what today is about. And so what I appreciate is seeing some of my friends that got me into the education profession or maybe nurtured me along the way, whether it's some of my Lincoln counterparts over here who I taught beside and took me under their wings as we went through it. And we all need somebody. And so in this time of year, when we talk about giving gifts, there's a lot of gifts we give that don't cost a thing. And we talk to our kids about this right now. Because some of the gifts, we ask them, what would you ever want for Christmas if you could have anything? And they're a little perplexed. They're stumped. They're not writing things down. And then as they're sitting there thinking about it, it comes to your mind going, that's right. Maybe the simplest thing we give is of our time or that compliment or that feedback or how those things go. So part of that, as we think about it, and haven't been in the Sioux Fall School District for quite some time now. This is my 24th year as an employee in the district, but I like to think it goes back a little further than that as a small child. But those values in the Sioux Falls School District, and this is what makes our community, and what we thank you for is entrusting us to make sure we take care of Sioux Falls by producing graduates from the high school system, from the school system K-12. And what I learned last year during the midst of a pandemic when everybody was trying to figure out how to do their close contacts and things like that, and I'm at New Tech kind of going, okay, I got to get ready for Jefferson. It was kind of nice, but it gave me time to reflect. And the thing I thought about is it really doesn't matter where you go to school in Sioux Falls, you're going to get a great education. Whether you're a patriot, a writer, a warrior, or now a cavalier, you're going to get a great education because it's the work that the community has done to ensure that success. And it's the work of the people that came long before me. And that's the exciting piece, that we get to carry that on. So our big thank you to the community is thank you for entrusting us with our most prized commodity, our kids, and the future of Sioux Falls, and the work we're going to do to ensure that we leave it better than which we received it. And that is always our goal. We always want our kids to have it better than we had it. Not to say that we had it hard growing up, but we just want it better. And so when it comes down to Jefferson, the plug I'll put in for Jefferson is when we were talking about our core values and meeting with our leadership team, we wanted a component of inclusion, where all means all. Doesn't matter where you come from, your background, or things like that, there's a place for you. We also wanted to make sure that people matter most. So you can have great curriculum, you can have great facilities, like we have been blessed with, but at the end of the day, it's the people who deliver the instruction, it's the people that you get to see every single day that makes that experience for kids remarkable, and it makes it a wonderful place to work. And then that third element is we always want to compete. And whatever, there has to be a competition piece in there. And the competition isn't in terms of wins or losses, it's not about that. But when you think about what it means to be a competitor, the first thing competitors do is look at themselves and say, what can I do better? Then they have that work ethic and initiative to go act on it. And then we want to take our teammates with us and make sure their success is our success. But probably the biggest attribute is we know the work we do is going to make a difference. It's that eternal optimism. And those are the values that we want to make sure we embed in Jefferson and carry on for the next 100 years that Jefferson will be around, or at least we believe it will be, as we move forward. So today, we thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for entrusting us. We thank our student ambassadors, taking time out of their day as they're greeting you at the door. So give them a hand. And as they're coming around and filling stuff up, ask them questions. See how they're doing. See how this feels like today as it did before. And closing, the big piece is we get to enjoy the music today from our kids and see how the students, the hard work they've put into it. And so it's a great time to reflect on the many blessings we have as you listen to the music. So enjoy the company. We're glad you're here today, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Our first student group will be joining us here shortly. So as soon as they come in, I'm going to stop talking, which I'm sure you'll all enjoy. But just please feel free to have your lunch as the students are performing. And the first group that we're going to welcome is called the Declaration Chamber Choir. And they are directed by John Perizzo and Rebecca Higgle. So they will be making their way in shortly, and we'll do about a 10-minute performance, and then we will hear from Elevation Chamber Orchestra. That, too, is directed by Rebecca Higgle. So we hope you enjoy that as soon as they get in here and set up. If I can interrupt your conversation just for a moment. The food is brought to you by the Child Nutrition Department of the Sioux Falls School District. We, for years, had Joni Davis as the lead there, and Joni has since retired, actually about a year ago. And Gay Anderson has joined us as the Director of Child Nutrition. And Gay has been working hard. As with other things, COVID has disrupted the food supply chain, and so sometimes getting meals for our students has been a challenge. And so she's had to deal with that, as well as trying to get the right amount of fat grams and right amount of sugars and all kinds of other things that go into a food service program in the school district. So we hope you're enjoying your lunch today, and we thank our food service department. Let's just give them a round of applause. Thank you. Also want to recommend and point out, or commend, I guess, and point out our community relations and community education staff. So, Megan, why don't you come over this direction so we don't have to look a couple of different directions. Yolanda Olive is in the red sweater. Yolanda is the clerical in our department. She joined us on March 8th, 9th, and 5 days later, is when March 13th was the last day we were in the office due to the pandemic. So we got to know Yolanda briefly in person, and then we got to know her more through our Zoom meetings and such that we did for a couple months after that. So we're grateful to have her. She's a very creative eye and super pleasant voice. When you call in, she will help you find whatever information you need or answer any questions for you. So really grateful to have Yolanda Olive join us. Next, in the yellow sweater is Melanie Erickson. Melanie joined us about 2.5 years ago. Okay. And Melanie does our adult programming for community education. So twice a year we put out a thick catalog of classes, and Melanie is coordinating all of those adult classes. So if you haven't taken a class with us in the past, I sure invite you to do that and teach you a new skill, or help you with something else that you're interested in learning about. Next to Melanie is Kelly Fay. She's in the gray sweater, and Kelly does our youth classes for community education. That includes driver's education. We educate about 750 students in driver's education every year. We have an invention sort of camp that is going to be in its second year this year, and just a variety of other things. She helps with summer school and, preschool. We got all ages of learners covered. And then next to Kelly is Megan Daly. Megan does our website design and development. We're in process of making a new template for our website, so there's a lot of work that goes on there, and Megan does that as well as helps curriculum, get various information on the website, and just a variety of things that way. And then behind our camera in the back, green sweater, hello, waving. That's Carly Youthy. Carly is our multimedia specialist in the department, does a lot of our photography, videography, social media, kind of just the jack of all, or Jane of all trades, I guess you would say. Ben Schumacher is the lone male in our department. God bless him. He does a lot of our video work as well. He's not able to join us here today, but looks like our students are set, prepared, so we will turn our attention to their performance.
We're doing the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy with our chamber choir. upcoming concert, we're doing a joint concert with orchestra and choir on December 20th here in this space at 7:30 p.m. If you'd like to join us for that, we welcome you to do so. So, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. To reiterate, we have a lot of things happening as our winter activities are kicking into full stride. We have a few things about Jefferson. We didn't talk much about our enrollment and what it looks like and maybe the school, so I'll give you a little bit of the background of that right now. And this week, we start our winter activities. Wrestling's been going, gymnastics has been going. So at Jefferson, part of the conversation is, are we going to have enough students to have the full offering of activities when we open this school up? And so we have. And part of it, you hear our choirs, our orchestras, and our bands. We have about 1,500 kids here. 1,460 or so is where we're really at. Of those students, we have around 140-ish that are seniors. Our junior class is around that 380 number. Our sophomore class is about 420. And our freshman class is the big one. It's in that 480, 490 number. So you can see the growth. And part of it with seniors, much like the choice I had 30-some years ago, you could stay where you were at, or you could choose to go to your new home attendance center. And we did have some seniors that ventured out. The other piece that combined with us is New Tech High School, which was our project-based learning high school, where that was the mode of instructional delivery. Those students are now Jefferson High School students. And project-based learning is part of a mode of instruction that we have here at Jefferson High School, is how I would describe that. So that's how we got our kids to make up about 1,500 students here at Jefferson. So as we continue to grow, it'll be interesting to see as we get more kids involved, because that is one of the things that we have as our primary goals. Two things: graduate in 4 years with a rigorous and meaningful education, and we want you all to get involved in something. We got to have a place for you, right? So we look to see how those grow. When you look at our demographic, we're about 60-40 split. We're 60% Caucasian and 40% minority. Our biggest population is we're just a shade under 20% Hispanic, with another 13 or so percent that are black. Are probably our two big minority subgroups as we go through. When you look at the way Jefferson was built, the main entry you came in, when you enjoyed that nice long, I shouldn't say walk, it was a ride, right? When you enjoyed the nice ride up here, it really divides it north and south. So on the north half of the building, we have our auditorium, we have our gym, we have our cafeteria, our commons. We have our tech ed department right behind us. So right behind the stage is woods, welding, and auto, which makes for a great relationship with building sets. Our shop is right behind, as long as those two are the same person, which they are for us. The shop teacher and the drama teacher are the same, which is great. So we look to see what this space can be. So with fall activities, we have our winter play starting next week. And then also this weekend, we have our first home basketball games. The girls play on Friday against, who else could it be beside Roosevelt, where we got about 700-800 of our kids came from Roosevelt, are now here. And they open up the first night with girls basketball, and then we come back and do it again on Saturday. We play the boys. And it'll be interesting to see what that looks like and feels like, because it brings me back to my memories of playing against some of my friends directly when we first split up into a Washington and Roosevelt. The other thing on Saturday night, starting at 6 o'clock in the auditorium, that I'm surprised Mr. Perizzo did not plug, is it's our opening show choir performance. So it's our preview of show choir on Saturday night at 6 p.m. here in the auditorium. And so we'll have our show choir leading off. We have our basketballs, we have our wrestlings, we have our gymnastics. We have all of our events starting up fast and furious, which will be fun to see how the facility is used. And what a better way to have a facility where you have a fine arts activity in the auditorium, and right across you have an athletic event in the gym. And being able to go between and seeing what that looks like, feels like, and sounds like will be really neat to see. But the division, we have our performance spaces down here. On the south end of the school, we have a main corridor that divides the school into two parts. It has 3 wings that point to the west and 2 wings that point to the east. Those wings are no longer divided by content areas. So you don't have a math wing, a science wing, or an English wing. But what you have is interdisciplinary studies. On our second floor, and all 3 wings are built similarly, on the second floor we have 3 science labs in every single wing. And they're accompanied by what we would refer to as more traditional classroom spaces that you could teach a math, English, social studies, world language out of those classrooms, is what the design is. First floor has 9 classrooms, kind of on the first floor of the wing, and on the second floor of the wing we have 7 classrooms. Just takes a little bit more space to have a science lab. And that's the reason for the discrepancy as you look through it. One thing you'll see in every one of the classrooms is just the natural light that comes in. So if you think about the wing coming down, it's not linear, it's more of a trapezoid. So it has a wide space at the mouth where you enter in from the hallway. And it's designed that way so classrooms from opposite sides of the hall can come together and collaborate. And so we want this communal sense where kids can work together on a variety of things and start linking the content areas where it is seen appropriate by the instructors as we go through with it. And just the common spaces we have in here and how they're being utilized by students and staff, it is remarkable to see how the students are working together and utilizing the spaces. And that's not to say it doesn't happen everywhere. This facility was designed to allow it to happen just a little easier. And that's probably the thing you notice. And I would invite any of you out to come take a look at the facility. We are here over Christmas break, and we're open those first 3 days after Christmas, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And just stop on out. We can certainly let you walk through the hallways and see what this place looks like. I'd be happy to visit with you as well. So that's a little bit about our school and some of the structure as what it looks like.
Does anyone have questions for Principal Dan Conrad?
Or Dr. Stavam?
Or Dr. Stavam?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Let's use the microphone. Doug, you're on.
I'm just curious. I know that we went through open enrollment where people could put in their family name, their student name, and I wonder if that's going to have an effect on the enrollment out here when we, based on setting the boundaries, and some students probably wanted to come here and couldn't. Do we do anything about that at all?
So we did begin open enrollment in the Sioux Fall School District Wednesday last week, December 1st. Open enrollment allows a parent to make a decision for the student to attend a school that is not their assigned school, if you will. So for whatever reason, if they wanted to open enroll and go to another building, there's a process. We did that process online. It started last Wednesday. We do take open enrollments throughout the remainder of this year or next fall, or if there are certain situations for second semester of this year as well. And I do know that you had some students who chose to open enroll to come here and were not assigned. So maybe you can just talk a little bit about that.
Certainly. So, again, all those memories that bring me back to this years ago. Because kids want to be with their friends, right? We want to be with the people we do, and then the premise is regardless of where you go to school, you're going to get a great education. So that's where we start with. What we noticed is some kids were choosing to come to Jefferson and open enroll in, and some kids were glad they were in the HAC called Jefferson. We started seeing some out-of-district open enrollments too, from our friends just to the north of us, with some Tri-Valley and West Central open enrollments that are coming in. So it's just kind of that reach. I think if I look at it as a high school principal lens, when we redid the boundaries and everybody was concerned, who's going to go to Jefferson, who's going to stay at Roseville, kids were talking that, right? I think when you look at the high school enrollments, the work that the school board did, the work that the superintendent did a pretty good job of balancing the enrollments across the high schools. I think if you look at all 3 high schools minus Jefferson, they're all around that 1,900 number. Jefferson's a little less at 1,500 because kids got to choose to stay at their current high school if they were a senior. And so we see our senior class being our smallest class. But it's interesting to see how at the end of the day, kids are with their friends and they want to be with their classmates. And it's kind of interesting how it kind of moves around, but at the end of the day, it has a way of balancing itself out because some of the standards we have the facility standards. We have a lot of standards from the district that help get kids to the right place. And regardless, again, I keep on saying it, because this is my spiel last year when I talked to Memorial, and some of the Memorial students were, oh my goodness, I'm not going to Roosevelt all the way anymore. I'm going to go to Jefferson. Or George McGovern students who were going to Roosevelt, oh my goodness, I'm going to Jefferson. And you had different levels of excitement. But this is where that theme came, People Matters Most, came to last year, is once they got to know who we are, and once they get to see our teachers, and know that when you build a new high school, you don't hire 100 brand new teachers from anywhere. A lot of the teachers get repositioned from inside the district. Because Roosevelt was going to reduce down from students, right? So those teachers have to go somewhere. They came to Jefferson. A lot of them did. But last year was a great time for people to get where they wanted to be. And you saw some movement for kids and staff to get where they wanted to be. And that was the exciting part. But specifically to open enrollment, it's an exciting time to see all the opportunities that Sioux Falls provides kids in terms of the education, in terms of all the access to opportunity, and we see that at all 4 of our high schools, and that's an exciting thing as a high school principal.
And I would just add that oftentimes the students are the resilient ones. It's the parents that have the most difficult time making a change. Are you kidding me? I have 12 Roosevelt t-shirts. What am I going to do? No. But we know and we appreciate that people love their schools.
Yep.
And that's something we can be very excited about, is no one wants to leave their school. But what we found is once they get to their new school, they're equally as excited to have many opportunities available to them as well. So.
And it does go for staff and students, because I would be the same way. 11 years at Lincoln and having a chance at Washington, it's hard to change. Red, white, and blue don't necessarily go with black and orange. You got to figure it out, right? And then you spend 11 years at Washington, say, I got to change to Jefferson. Black and orange is tough to change, to go to green and gold. It's hard, right? And as a kid coming out of college, I graduated from Roosevelt. I thought my dream was to teach at Roosevelt until I had an opportunity to meet the people at Lincoln. And so what you learn is, regardless of where you're at in Sioux Falls, it's a great place to get an education, and it's filled with wonderful people who have the best interest of kids and others in mind. And I think that's my big takeaway, having been at all places. And just for the record, I did also not leave Sioux Falls when I went to Augie, or did I leave Sioux Falls when I went to USF? I think I've seen that.
You have been around the blocks.
Apparently, right?
Around the blocks.
Blocks.
Yes. What other questions? Yes, Martin?
With your open enrollment here and stuff in the school, is it kind of reduced the rest of the schools? We have 90% capacity in each school, and how long is it forecasted for this school right here? Another 20 years?
If you have a crystal ball, Marvin. We'll let Dr. Stavam tiptoe through that one. Well, here's what I can tell you. I've been in 2 really rapidly growing districts. My last district in Washington grew about 33% in 11 years. And in 1 year, we opened 5 new schools. And so that's really fast growth, and that comes from density. There's also in Lincoln where we grew about 800 kids a year, and it was kind of like Sioux Falls where it was still sprawling and meeting up with those outlying districts. So that's going to be the really tricky thing, is rebounding and building new schools helps some of that. Then we also have to pay attention to the fact that our community is growing something like 1,000 people a month. And so part of that will be paying attention to the density. If you go out by Ben Rifle, where there's still some sprawl happening, there's also apartment buildings going in right behind Ben Rifle and big ones. And so they're already fairly full, even just after opening that new school. So we're going to have to continue to probably rearrange, because at some point we're going to be landlocked on all sides, and then the growth will look and feel different. If you look out here, it's literally a different picture every single day. The dirt started moving this summer, and things just kind of keep popping up. So if you go back to open enrollment, what you were asking about, and you think about how a district manages that over time, we have to gauge and look at trends over time with brand new trend data. And then you throw COVID in the mix, which screws up everything for statistics. And we have to think about, who do we let in to keep those numbers growing and to keep a healthy number as a school district? Who's
city and who wants to come to Sioux Falls. And if I let you in first grade, I have to factor in the fact that you may stay with us all the way through high school. And so by the time that child gets to middle and high school, that capacity may look very different. And so we always want to keep some margin of letting kids come in from other districts, because we know we'll lose a few too to some other districts nearby. But what's really going to be tricky to gauge is that density factor and that internal growth if we start going up, and if we start adding multi-unit housings where there are single-unit housing, and looking at those trends. It's a really fun and exciting time to be in Sioux Falls. I don't know if you've seen some of the plans for, downtown as it's growing and developing. And Sioux Falls is going to change. I was in a district that started out at 36,000 and was 42,000 just about when I left in 6 years. And the fabric of that community was beginning to feel different, because what you have then is that blend of people who came to Sioux Falls, grew up in Sioux Falls, know what that's looked and felt like, and then you have a lot of people coming who aren't from Sioux Falls, and we all blend together, and it begins to feel different. It feels different for infrastructure too, like our police and fire. As you add more multi-unit housing developments, their practices and their numbers have to change as well. So now you're not going into a single home to fight a fire, you're going up 4 or 5 floors to rescue somebody or to put out a fire. So it will be tricky to kind of gauge some of that. Right now, though, we're in a really good spot because the most recent things work really well like they were designed to. So we feel like from here we have a good picture to gauge from going forward. We're not still wondering if we should or could move people around. Yeah.
So in this school, are we 80, 90% capacity right now?
I would say 75%. We're at 1,500. Our capacity is a shade over 2,000. So we'd be about 4 or 5 years ago. Possibly. So right now our max capacity is, if Jefferson's at full use, it's like 2,050. And we're at that 1,500 number, I think 75%-ish is where we're at now.
I was way off, whoever I told over here earlier.
Mr. Macklin, you need a minute or two yet?
We're just grabbing our seats here.
Okay, we can take one more question. Is there another question out there? Otherwise, it's prize time, giveaway time. How are we giving prizes away? Oh, you put your name has been thrown into a jar, and so we will make a selection for our first door prize. Let's see who's lucky today and who should stop by and buy a lottery ticket on the way home, right? Okay, our first person is drawn. Oh, wait, bye, vocals. Bye, Lois. Oh, there you go. Very good. So Lois is our first winner. Select. Next winner. Marvin. Is there more than one Marvin here? Here's Marvin, right here. Okay, with that, we will turn it over to Shane Macklin. He has the Jefferson High School Jazz Band here for you today. We'll turn it over to them.
Mr. Macklin, Shane Macklin, here at Jefferson High School. I'm the head band director. This is my 34th year of teaching, so I'm a veteran here for a while. I used to teach at Roosevelt from 2000 to 2010. I went down to Texas. I couldn't stand the heat. I know it's rough, so I came back up here and taught college for the last 8 years down at Morningside College, and we had a wonderful opportunity here with a brand new building and getting a band program going here, and so I was happy to get the job here and start a new tradition here, being a cavalier. Over here is Mr. Kurtz. He's the assistant director. I lead the jazz band. These are lunchtime ensembles. I lead the jazz band. Mr. Kurtz leads the steel pans. We're the only one in this region that has a full family of steel pans, so they're very interesting to listen to. But we're going to start with the jazz band. We have 3 tunes that we'd like to play for you, and then we're going to switch over to the steel pans and get to hear a little bit of that. So our first piece that we'd like to play for you is called All of Me. Next piece that we'd like to play for you is an Oliver Nelson tune called Stolen Moments. It will feature Elijah on the trombone and the beautiful Santa Claus top there, and also Keller over here on the alto saxophone, so 2 soloists in this one. last tune that we'd like to play with the jazz band is called the Groove Merchant. This is an upbeat tune that's a lot of fun to play, so we hope you enjoy. this side. They do double duty. They do a thing where they come and they play steel pans. We dismiss them 7 minutes early, and they have a 5-minute passing period. They come 7 minutes late for jazz band, so they can actually get something to eat. It's nice to have something to eat during the day, right? So we make that work. These steel pans, they've been a lifelong goal of mine as far as a career goes. I love the fact that we have these here. I think they can really open a lot of doors and do a lot of great things in our school here with music. The steel pans arrived, I think, late September. Is that right? Late September. So we haven't had them very long. And these students have had to, or they've gotten to, I broke my own rule there, they've gotten to learn a whole new system of notes. Notes over here go up and down like this. Notes over here go in circles, like they go this way on the pan. So it's really a different kind of thing. But we have the lead pans over here, the smaller ones, all the way down to the base pans, which are big, basically oil drums. That's how they started. So one person plays, sort of like a timpani, plays all the different bass notes over here. But I'll turn it over to Mr. Kurtz so he can explain a little bit more about the steel pans. And if you want, after you're done today, if you want to come up and look at them closer, you can see sort of how the notes are arranged up here.
Hello. So yeah, my name is Mr. Kurtz. It's been a privilege to be able to work with these students on steel pans and just be able to hear them. As Mr. Macklin was saying, we have just a bunch of oil drums that are cut and beat down to get a concave shape, to get a lot of really unique and interesting sounds, to get these pitches, to get different melodies out. And in between some of the pieces, I'll give a little bit more of the history, but we'll cause a suspense to end, and we'll hit you with some music. This first piece, it's called Avon, and every year 8th grade students go to the high school that they're bound to go to. And this piece, it's a calypso piece, so we arranged the band parts to fit onto the steel pans, and this is how it came out. So this is Avon. To come all the way through. This next piece, these next two pieces actually, Jamaica Farewell and Jump It in Line, both came with our steel pan. So we've been fortunate enough to be able to just work with the music that came with, or that the trader of these pans sent with us. So here is Jamaica Farewell. Get another start to that. So as we get set up for this next piece, jump in line, here's a brief history on just the origin of steel pans. And to make sure I get notes and everything, I brought them. So they originated in the Caribbean island of Trinidad. So the origin of it, first off, came from Mardi Gras coming over to lead into the Luncheon season. And that came, the French brought that over to Trinidad and Tobago. Then they would always celebrate with what was called speaking drums, which were drums that had a high head on them and were used for communication. Well, the British got worried that they were going to use communication of these drums to take over the authorities. They were like, nope, we're done with that. The civilians still wanted to celebrate, so they brought bamboo sticks, which they named Tambu Bamboo, to create these sounds and still be able to celebrate during this festival. The authorities also were like, no, we don't want to do this either. And at one point, it broke off into chaos at the festival. And one of the groups, the Alexander Ragtime Band, the leader of that took just a garbage can and started playing a beat. And that he wrangled his entire ensemble to start coming together and creating music that way in that chaos. And that just took everything flying. So people started to grab these garbage cans to create music. And that slowly turned into Eli Manetti took these oil cans and started to tune them to get specific pitches. So that's how we got to dead battery. Okay. That's how we got to these steel cans. They brought them over to America, and we were able to fine-tune them to get the specific pitches in a sequence that made sense to the flow of playing them. So it started with celebration of music and getting people together to together, bring his hands together to create music and just express music in a fun, delightful way. So this one is Jump in Line, which might be a recognizable piece. One, two, three.
performance this afternoon. If you've never had, and who's played a musical instrument in the past? Yes, okay. So these kids back here on the steel pans, probably, are you all percussionists? All percussionists, wonderful. So they know beat, but learning notes and music and where just to hit on the pan is quite a feat in about 2.5 months. So I think that's really great, and I love steel pans. I'll be calling my travel agent after this and trying to book a trip to Jamaica or something, because it sure gets your toes tapping. So thank you so much for that. Let's give them another round of applause. And what a beautiful segue. If you felt the beat and you want to continue or do something fun, we have a cardio drumming class coming up this Saturday from 10 to 11. It's basically taking a exercise ball or a bucket or anything you have and using a stick to create a beat. And so we are excited to offer that. I've seen it in action a couple of different times, and sure it's a great exercise for your arms, and definitely get your mind going as well. So if anybody's interested in that, we have some flyers, and sure be happy to share that information with you. We're going to draw a couple more door prizes, and then we are wrapping up. At 1:10, it is safe for you to go back out in the hallway. So we've been keeping you captive here just for your own safety. So, and of course we have Santa's sleighs ready to take you back to your car if you like that ride as well. So, Mary Tranberg is our next winner. Mary's in a colorful shirt up here. Next, Judy Mahacek. Lucky table over there. Did we already do? No. Carol Olson? There's Carol, right here. Right. How many more we got over there, girls? Plenty? Yeah. Plenty. 7. Okay. Joanna Eichen. Lucky Joanna. We have Linda Weber. Linda is there. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Mar, you're the lone male. Who's won so far? Margaret Bloom. Very good. Mary Beebe. In the front. Am I going too fast? It's that music that just got me so excited. Either that or the coffee, right? Susan Even? In the front. Here we go. How many more? 2 more. Donna? Donna, there you are. Yep. Looks like the last name got partially cut off, so I apologize. And Shirley Erickson, right in the front. So I think some of you lucky folks got a gift certificate to take the class. So if you want to take that drumming class, we'll sure get you signed up. So with that, we want to say thanks once again for joining us here today to share in the holiday spirit with us, hear from our wonderfully talented students, see this gorgeous building, and hear from our wonderful superintendent and principal of the school here. I can't remember, was it Don or Marvin asked me, are you related to that guy? You have the same last name. I love to tell this story. I told him no, because it
is just a quick thing. But here's the thing. I'm Deanne Conrad with a K. He's Dan Conrad with a C. I will occasionally get emails from students who are maybe looking to do some detention time or something like that, and I say, oh, no. That is not me. That's Dan Conrad. Well, Dan Conrad with a C, I call him an imposter, because the Conrads with a K are the original Conrads who came here. But his relatives could not figure out how the mail system should work. And great-great-great-grandpa John had 3 boys, John, George, and George. As John figured it out, the Georges decided to go C Conrad and K Conrad. So they were brothers, but one chose a C, one chose a K. So his family couldn't quite figure it all out. We were just fine. So if you want information from the person who is truthful and not devious, you will come to Deanne Conrad. Okay. I share that story from great-grandma Helma, who passed away at the age of 102 about 5 years ago. She loved that story and teared up with laughter every single time she told it. So I like to tell it often as well, and I love to tell it in the presence of Dan Conrad, the imposter. So with that, we wish you a very Merry Christmas. We hope you're able to get together with